This is Season 3 of The Score, the Team Roping Journal's regular podcast, where the team roping world talks. We've told the stories of some of the greatest cowboys, horses, and moments in the sport, and we're so far from done. In 2020, we'll bring you more of what you've come to expect, like interviews with the best cowboys and cowgirls we know, and we'll dive even deeper into subjects you care about. Look for more audio editions of the Team Roping Journal stories you might have missed in print, and learn about the great horses shaping the sport and great challenges facing our industry. All this and more in 2020. I'm Chelsea Schaefer. The show today is a little different than the typical team roper talk that we usually do. My guests are Donene Taylor, the 2016 WPRA World Champion tie-down roper, author, and mental performance coach, as well as her great friend Lari Dee Guy, who relies on Taylor for her mental coaching. Donene's story is inspiring, to say the least. She built her career in the arena piece by piece from the ground up, all while battling anorexia and obsessive-compulsive disorder. She relied on training from everyone from Trevor Brazile, Lari Dee Guy, to Troy Pruitt, and she's become a source of wisdom for some of the best in the industry. This conversation is eye-opening, and one that's really going to expand your understanding of the mental side of roping. Plus, Donene's book, A Heart of a Champion, is a must-read for competitors of every walk of life. I want to thank Lari Dee and Donene for joining us today, and I hope you all enjoy this very special conversation. Today's episode is brought to you by Resistol. Before we get started, we want to thank them. You've got to check them out at resistol.com, and we'll tell you more about them on the commercial break. Hey ladies, everybody, this is a special episode of The Score because we've got Donene Taylor and Lari Dee Guy, and we sound a little bit different. I love to do these interviews in person, but we're social distancing still. So we're all staying healthy, so we're doing it over Microsoft Teams. This is a little commercial for Microsoft. Donene and LD, welcome to The Score.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Good. LD, this is your second time on. Donene, this is your first. Donene, you are an author, but you are far more than an author. What is your official title? A mental performance coach? What do you say?
I'm a certified mental performance coach, and I also rope. I also compete. I'm a mom. I'm a wife.
And you're a WPRA World Champion tie-down roper. So that's, you say you rope a little. You're pretty decent at it.
I did win the world in the tie-down rope in 2016. And I say that me and Lari Dee are co-champions on that world championship. And she says, nah. And I said, well, we're just going to have to agree to disagree on that, because there's just no way I would have won that thing had it not been for her and all her help and support and everything.
Yes, absolutely. And Lari Dee, I mean, I guess you're a co-champion on Donene's world title, but you have a few of your own too. So we don't need to. I think you've been on here before, so I don't need to introduce you too much. I think we know how you are. But how's everybody doing? How are you guys spending your quarantine right now? How's everybody in good health? Everybody safe?
Yeah, at my house, we have 10,000 acres, so it's pretty easy to, to have social distancing. But I try to take good care of my parents because they're a little older, so I don't have many people, come over. And if anybody does come over, I keep them away from my parents and all that. But it's all we've done around here is rope and ride young horses. Trevor and I bought 10 head of horses, and I've got about 4 of them around here that I've been kind of getting started. So Hope Thompson's here, and she helps me. And I mean, that's really all we do around here is rope and eat. Nothing better than that, huh?
Yeah, same here. How about you, Donene? Everybody safe in Wyoming?
Yep. We're all doing well here. I live in a little town, less than a couple thousand people, and I've been getting to ride and roping the sled, and I've had an opportunity to work with some very cool coaches that, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to work with because they'd been, around the country or around the world, and now they're at home. And so I've reached out and I've deepened and widened my inner circle. So I've been learning a lot.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. I think I've certainly learned a lot too. I've been reading a lot, definitely taking a little bit more time to think things through. So that's why I'm really excited to welcome you to kind of the team roping community that listens to this podcast. So Donene, tell us a little bit about your background. You were a goat tyer growing up, and then you were driven to become a tie down roper. Can you tell me about how and why that trajectory, your life went that way instead of becoming a barrel racer or becoming a breakaway roper?
Well, in my book, I write about working with Kelly Tierney. She was married to Paul Tierney at the time. Now, Kelly Word is write about. And gosh, she was really instrumental in helping me, get going. I mean, she showed me how to goat tie, showed me how to rope. And the whole time Paul's there with the college kids. And so, being around that atmosphere was really helpful for me. I really got to see, gosh, what a good work ethic looks like and what a person could do when they had that work ethic. And seeing Paul tie, him and the boys would be down towards the chutes tying, me and Kelly would be down at the end tying goats. And she would reference, back in the day, all right, goats were pretty big. And she would say, this is the way Paul does it. And this is the way Paul does this. And this is how we're tying this goat. And I was, pretty darn good goat tire. And I really like the physicality of it. I like being in shape. I like the physicalness of it. But I really struggled with the roping. I was really bad. For a really long time. And the roping is what grew me. The struggles is what grew me. And I had that goal when I was 14. When I was 14, I had these 5 goals and I wrote them down. And one was to marry Stan, the fella I'm married to now, him. And I wanted to win the world in the tie down roping. And that was it. Back then it was the GRA. It wasn't the WPRA. And I wanted to be a coach because Kelly was coaching me. She had a lot of influence on me. And I wanted to write a book because I read Jennifer Haynes' book, and I wanted to run down the alley in the barrel racing. And back then it was in Oklahoma City. It wasn't in Vegas yet, and it was still the GRA. And it all started when I was 14. That's what I wanted to do. I went to college to be a coach. I have a degree in physical education coaching. So, I truly wanted to do all those things. I just didn't know how I was going to get it all done.
Yeah. And one of the things that you talk about, you're so vulnerable in your book, and you talk about your OCD and your eating disorder. And I know, Lari Dee, you've told me before how that inspired, how much she overcame inspired you. Donene, can you tell us a little bit about that part of your struggle and how that shaped you today? And Lari Dee, can then you chime in and talk about how that inspired you?
Well, OCD, the OCD, I really think that benefits elite athletes, having that compulsiveness to want to train and to strive for excellence. And it is a good thing as long as it doesn't trip you up in life. It doesn't debilitate you. And it truly got to the point where it was very debilitating for me. I was not functioning at all. And it truly was a struggle, but the struggle is where you grow. And I'm really proud of myself for seeking help. And how I sought help, how it started was I had my first kiddo. 1994, I had Hunter. And Hunter was the catalyst for me to go get help. My mom struggled with both as well. I saw it. It was, now they kind of link it a little bit genetically. And I turned on that gene, I turned it on and I saw her. That's how she worked through a lot of her stress. And gosh, I'm really proud of myself for going and getting the help twice.
Absolutely. Lari Dee, did you know that about her? You met Donene at a roping school, right?
Yeah, I had known Donene for a really long time, like of her, and seen her at, some of the events, but never had really met her until she called. Well, actually, no, she come to my school. Was it at Billings, Donene?
In Cheyenne.
At Cheyenne was the first one. Yeah,
Yeah.
at Cheyenne, Wyoming. And that was kind of the first time that I ever got to hang out and be around her, but she was pretty quiet then. Like we didn't communicate a lot. And she called me and asked if she could come down and get some more help with her roping. And that's kind of when, I got to know her more. And we were actually sitting in my house, and Hope and Meg and everybody had left, and it just kind of came out. Like we were talking, and she kind of told me, what, about the OCD and the anorexia and all that. And I was like, and it was funny. It wasn't funny because I can't believe I said it, but I was like, I knew something was wrong with you. And she laughed at it. And I'm like, who said that? But I could tell that there was more there than what, like what I was seeing, because she was so driven at those schools and, wanted to, do so good. And, what inspires me about her is, like she said, when she was 14 years old, she set her goals, and she accomplishes every one of them. And she does whatever it takes and puts forth more work and like uses her resources. Like she's such a student of everything. And that's why I like her as a mental game coach. I tell everyone, she's my mental game coach. And I tell everyone that there's not a one out there of all the great ones in the world. She's the best, because no one has studied it and worked at it and had to learn it from ground zero. Most of them are like athletes or something that, always had a great mental game. And Donene didn't have that mental game, and she learned it from the bottom all the way to the top. And I said, no one knows more about it than I feel she does. And
yeah,
I mean, she just inspires me every day.
Donene, tell me about how you became a mental game coach. You said you have a background in physical education, but tell me the trajectory of that career.
Well, yeah, like Lari Dee said, I was really poor with my mindset, with my mental toughness for a really long time. But I knew the importance of it. I mean, I rode the emotional roller coaster. I was the person that practiced, well at home, but couldn't produce when you went somewhere. I wasn't consistent. And so I started to read a lot of books. I started to really research it. And I'm working with Lari Dee. I'm starting to gather up these skill sets. I'm starting to produce. I'm still really consistent. There's still gaps. And so I'm coming home from Lazy E, from Guthrie, Oklahoma. And I do well there. And I'm like, man, what else can I do? What else can I do? How can I close this gap? And I'm like, man, if I had a mental performance coach, that would make all the difference for me. So I come home and I research, and I find Brian Cain, and I start working with Brian Cain. And I knew he was the fit for me. I could understand his concepts. He had worked with a lot of high profile athletes, George St. Pierre, UFC fighters, professional baseball players. And so we started working together, and the whole goal was to win the world. I mean, that's why I was working with him, but it turned into this very cool relationship, and getting to know him getting to know me. And even after I won the world, I'm still hooked up with this guy. I'm still working with him. I'm in with his inner circle with his other coaches. He saw something in me, and he set me up to be a mental performance coach. And he put the blocks in place for me. He made me my first poster to put on Facebook. And the first week I got 8 clients, and I thought, wow, this is awesome. I mean,
awesome.
With a little, just a flyer and 8 clients, and I just took off from there. And I still work with him. We visit once a month at least. He's an amazing fella, and I've gathered a lot more other mental performance coaches that I work with. They're all men. They're all men that I work with. I mean, it's really important that we have strong women in our circle. I mean, Lari Dee and Hope T, and really empowering women. But all the mental performance coaches that I work with that mentor me, they're all men. I have 6 of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
6.
Yeah. That I work with. Yeah. I mean, I'm very well-rounded.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that would I see you pop up a lot on a lot of the barrel racing forums and amongst barrel racers, but do you work with any men? Do you coach any other men?
I do coach. I do coach men. And what I have found is there's really no difference between the men and the women. I mean, we all want more. We all want more. We have a lot of resources invested. But, I think they folks realize, gosh, when you want more, you need to become more on the inside. And that all starts with developing an elite mindset.
Lari Dee, she said we all want more. Is that what made you realize that you'd already won lots of world titles and had won just about everything you could win in the all-girl stuff by the time you brought Donene services onto your plate? Why Donene at that time? Why did you invest in mental performance strategy?
Well, there was a few different reasons, but one of the main things was I watched some elite athletes at the American change when the young girl Madison Uthier made the run that she did in the breakaway to win it last year. And when I saw that, I actually called her. Well, I actually talked to Hope, and I said, man, if I ever get in that position, I don't want to do that. So, I mean, I saw some of the greatest ropers do it, and I thought if I got to that point, would I do that? And I said, I want to, regroup and learn more about my mental game, because when I watched Donene Taylor win the world, she had a huge opportunity to do that, and she didn't. I mean, her mental game was so strong, and she did win the world. And how she did it was obviously with her roping ability, but it was her mindset that I felt like set it apart. So I wanted my mind and my mental game to be like hers. And so I wanted to learn what she could teach me, and she hasn't taught me enough yet. I mean, I still want to learn more and more. And, between Hope and I at my house, we talk to her probably every other day, probably somehow or another. But I feel that anybody that wants to learn anything and get any more out of the mental game, they need to use her, because I feel there's nobody in the world that knows more about it than she does.
And I remember years ago when you started the Rope Like a Girl campaign, you told me, you're like, you got to see, there's this lady and she's got our signs of our sayings up in her tack room. You should see it. Donene, what did Rope Like a Girl, like that whole concept, was that something that obviously you were into it back then, or you still, what does it mean to you?
Oh man, yeah, I'm into it. I mean, Lari Dee, I mean, I love Lari Dee. She changed my life. And what Lari Dee did for me was she helped me find my voice. She helped me find my voice. And I think as women, when we truly find our voice, it really helps to quiet our mind. We stop comparing. We stop trying to judge, with others and judging ourselves. And she also empowered me, to follow my intuition, to trust myself, that I am very capable of doing things that, even though I may be scared, I can still do them. I just need to step in. And gosh, rope like a girl. Yeah, it's all it's empowerment for me. That's truly what it means. That's what it's done for me. And then she takes it up a notch, and the empowerment turned into impactment, where I get to impact others with my story. She encouraged me to share my story. She's like, wow, your story, it's good. I think people could really benefit from it. And I would not have followed through with that had I not had that belief from Lari Dee.
Mm-hmm.
Today's episode of The Score is brought to you by Resistol, our longtime partners. Since 1927, Resistol has put cowboys and the Western way of life first, as the only hats made in the USA, from bales of raw fur to the finished product. From the Resistol Rookie of the Year program to the company's sponsorship of the USTRC and the World Series of Team Roping, Resistol pumps life into cowboy sports across the board. Resistol is a company run by cowboys, for cowboys, and based in the great state of Texas. Their motto is "We live it every day," and that couldn't be any closer to the truth. Check out Resistol.com. Get your straw hat hoarders in for the summer, because Resistol is still shipping no matter what throughout the COVID-19 crisis, using lots of social distancing and safe methods of shipping from their headquarters in Garland, Texas. So again, that's Resistol.com. Thank you so much to our favorite brand of hats at Resistol.
Yeah.
You and I were talking before the call just a little bit about commitment. And I said, I see so many team ropers say, man, I just need to take a break, like maybe go cowboy for a while, or I just need to take a break. You talk about in your book making that 3-year contract with yourself where there weren't breaks. You weren't taking breaks. You were committed for 3 years on a contract. Talk about commitment and how maybe breaks or taking a break can be a fallacy.
Those are the things that get you going. Those are the things that get your motor going, get you inspired. But it is that commitment that really helps you to develop that discipline, that focus, that determination, that perseverance that you need. And the type of commitment that I'm talking about is, no matter what, no matter the struggles, the obstacles, the challenges, the adversity, the mistakes you make, no matter the adversity, you're gonna do whatever it takes. You're gonna do whatever it takes. And the 3 years, when I set up my 3-year contract, I really didn't know, the science behind 3 years, but there is research, there's science behind like 3 and 5 years. And the reason that you pick like 3 years or 5 years is because it gives you time to get that progress, to see how far you've come. Where, a lot of folks, they set those goals for a year, and then when they don't accomplish them, then they think all is lost. I didn't accomplish the goal. And all you need to do is just roll that timeline. Just roll the timeline ahead. And when you give yourself that 3 years, it gives you time to struggle, to have growth. It gives you time to work the process. And it actually took me 5 years from that time that I set the 3-year contract. I renegotiated it twice, 1 year at a time. I thought 2015, here we go. I'm telling Lari Dee, we're going to seal the deal. Here we go. And man, I just wasn't there yet. I had a lot, and thank goodness, because I met Brian Kane. I got to work with some more folks that Lari Dee put me in contact with. Thank goodness I didn't accomplish it in 2015. There wouldn't have been a book. Life is happening with us. Life isn't happening against us. It's happening with us. It's happening for us.
Yeah. And even right now, Lari Dee makes fun of me because I'm like I know nothing about money, don't know how to manage money, I don't have any money, so it doesn't even matter. But right now, I feel like there's a lot of people where they could find there's reasons not to succeed or reasons not to there's going to be a lot of economic struggles holding people back in the times that we're in right now. What's your advice for economic struggles and for pushing through those sorts of things? Because man, that can be, we're in unique times right now.
Yeah, in the struggle, I mean, that's where we grow. I think I've said it a lot. I mean, that truly is where we grow, is in the struggle. And just not that far long ago, I mean, into 2017, all of 2018, while I'm writing the book, my husband and I, we go through it's tough economically. It's tough. But I'll tell you what we did. I mean, we stayed focused on the things that we could control. We stayed focused on the things we could control. We stayed focused on knowing this situation, it's temporary. All situations are temporary, and we knew there's hope. Things are gonna get better. We would speak it, man. Things are gonna get better. It's okay. We're gonna keep working, keep moving ahead. I'll tell you, there was no blaming, no complaining, and no being defensive. We owned it, even though maybe we didn't have a hand in the energy industry. We owned everything. We owned it. And we kept taking the steps forward, and we grew a lot, and we learned a lot about ourselves during the struggle. We did. We learned a lot about our marriage. I mean, it was an opportunity. That's how we looked at it. And that's how I would suggest that, folks are going through a struggle now, to look at the positive of it and to keep dreaming. I'm writing my book. I don't know how I'm going to pay my coach who's coaching me up to write this book, but I went and got a job. I'm coaching, but I went and got a job. I tell Lari Dee, I got a job. It was the best thing. It was the best thing. Assistant director with these kids. It grew me as a person. So, I mean, it's all about perspective. Our economic struggle grew me immensely as a person, getting to work with these kids. I wouldn't have went and got that job had we been doing all right. And that shifted my heart. That shifted everything that I did. It's your perspective. And your perspective is how you see yourself, how you see your situation, how you see your world. And you get to choose your perspective. And I love it. Bring it on. Bring it on. Struggle. Bring it on. You know what the root of confidence, the Latin root of confidence. I mean, a lot of folks think confidence is like, I'm confident that I can win. I'm confident that I'm going to be competitive. I'm confident that I'm going to do well today. The Latin root of confidence is intense trust. Intense trust in yourself. I trust whatever happens. I got this. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to
love that.
That steer goes left, that steer goes right. I miss whatever happens. I have intense trust. I have confidence in myself. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to figure it out. And that's what you do in any type of struggle.
Wow, I love that. Lari Dee, is there one thing that you have, like, if you could say one concrete thing that you've taken away from Donene, one piece of advice, one thing that you repeat to yourself, could you say one thing?
Just the will, just like she said, no matter what, she gets the job done. And that's what I love, is just knowing that, as long as you keep your head down and do the work, that you will get there. And, I don't know. No, like she always says this, that, she didn't know how hard people worked until she come here. And I'm thankful that she says that. But like, I had no idea how hard a person needed to work until I met her, because she's worked so much harder. I mean, I feel like I have things pretty easy. I mean, we have a ranch, I have cattle, we have horses. I mean, I had so many means, and I didn't have per se anything happened to me like with her with her illnesses that she's overcome. And what's the word I should say? Persevere? Is that what I should say? I mean, like, so I mean, it's just, when I told her, she asked me, she said, she told me she wanted to win the world, and did I feel that she could? And she said, I paused. And I said, I feel that you can, but it's going to take a lot of hard work. And she smiled and said, more or less, I got this, because I know I can do the work. And she's right. I mean, work is not a problem with her. So,
and if anybody's interested, your book's The Heart of a Champion, and you tell the whole story of you winning the world in that. Could you go back to the day that you won that world title and just talk us through that day, Donene, and make us feel what you felt?
Oh man. Okay, I just got the chill.
Tell me what happened.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, heck yeah. Well, I mean, I get there, and Chester, he's just not right. I mean, and I don't talk about it, with anybody, but Lari Dee knows he's not right, and Stan knows he's not right, and my vet and Troy Pruitt. I mean, we all know he's not right. We don't know why he's not right, but he's not right, and so the like, there's 2 rounds in a day, so the morning round, he's a little off, but I keep releasing that, and that is something that I coach. I talk about it in the book, is how do you release, things that are in your mind that are not going to help you. And I get the 3rd calf roped. I'm in there. I haven't looked at the grid the whole time. The secretary's grid. I mean, that was something I knew I was not going to go over there and look at that grid. And Stan respected that. Lari Dee respected that, because that's outcome. That's outcome. I mean, there's no reason to look at that grid in my mind. It's working that process. And then we get to the 4th round, and Chester, he is lame. I mean, he's dropping his shoulder. He's lame. And I'm thinking, man, what am I going to do? And I'm thinking, Lari Dee said to rope on him. Troy, my vet, everybody said to rope on him. So I get it right in my head. I'm going to rope on him. And I'm warmed up. I'm kind of really, well, I guess it's my routine. I mean, I'm doing my big body language. I'm taking deep breaths. My heart's pounding out of my chest. I have a mental script that I'm telling myself that, process over outcome. Whether I win the world championship today or not, it just doesn't matter. I'm enough with it. I'm enough without it. Gosh, I would have never said that the prior years. Before, I mean, it was, man, I gotta win this. I need to win this. A lot's riding on this. And here I'm sitting back, I'm thinking, man, if I win it today or not, it just don't matter. And I'm prepared, and I trust myself, and I'm in my zone. And Hunter, he starts yelling at me. He's like, Mom, and he's pointing down at the calf. He's like, this is your calf. And I'm like, okay. So, I put pagan string in my mouth, tuck it in my belt. I ride Chester in there, and I just work my routine. And having that solid routine that you work each and every time, that is what gets you the consistency. And the consistency is what separates, the world class from the average. And I run in behind that little black calf, and it's right there. Chester gathers up on him super fast, and it's the shot, but it's not right. The tip of my rope, it's behind me. And I'll tell you, I had taken that shot for a lot of finals. I had actually lost the world twice when it was at Fort Worth. Thank goodness, because I took that shot with that tip being behind me. And I drive Chester up in there and I rope him, and it's just a textbook little run. It's probably the exact run that I tied from the post before I left the house with Stan, and super excited. I heard the girls cheering as I was running down the rope. It was super exciting. I mean, super exciting. And I had played that game like all of us play it. This one's for all the marbles. This one's for the world championship. I had played it a lot. Everyone plays that game. And it just was everything I thought it would be. It was awesome. And it was everything I thought it could be. And it would not have happened had I not gotten my mental game together.
Mm-hmm. LD, what do you remember about that day?
Oh man. Like, I don't think she knew that she won it. Did you?
Well, I mean, I was pretty sure I won it. I mean, if not, I won it. I mean, for me, I won it.
But she never looked at the standing, and I mean, me and a couple more girls knew exactly what she needed to do to win it. She didn't know we knew, but we knew exactly. And so when she made that run, we knew that she won it. And I can't tell you how excited I was, like, and how nervous. Like, I was glad her mental game was good, because when she was running the last calf, I almost could not watch. I was so nervous. I mean, I was nervous. And so I would say my first initial thing of when she won it was relief and excitement. Like, because I was so emotional, I guess, before or after she roped. And I was, so nervous before she roped that I was relieved and so damn excited. I mean, it was unreal feeling, but I wasn't the only one. There were several of us that were like that.
Wow. We never broke that down before, Lari Dee. That's pretty cool. Thank you.
Oh, I love it. Now, Donene, you've watched a lot of rodeo too. Is there somebody who you admire that's maybe, I'll just say a professional team roper or a professional calf roper for their mental game, as far as the pros that our audience is super familiar with?
Oh, wow. I love Trevor. I got to go. Lari Dee sent me when I bought Chester. And so she sent me to Trevor's house to get a bit for Chester and to get Trevor's saddle that he rides Chester with, because my little saddle, it didn't fit him at all. And so I got to go to Trevor's house, and we are sending Lari Dee pictures of bits so she can pick the bit she wants Chester to go home with. And we're waiting for Lari Dee to respond. And Trevor asked me, he says, well, who helps you get better? And I said, well, Lari Dee helps me get better. He says, yeah. He says, but she live 18 hours from your house. Who helps you get better up at your house? I said, well, I go to Troy Pruitt's. He says, that'll work. I mean, that's how important it is to have that constant mentorship, coaching. And Troy lives, 3.5 hours from my house. But I made it a point to go to his house every week to get that deliberate practice. And then, of course, go to Lari Dee's quite a bit, see her at the rodeos, go to all her schools. But you need that consistent practice so that you can get better. And I thought that was so cool of Trevor. Who helps you get better? That's a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of knew. I kind of baited you there. I could have guessed that you would say Trevor. I think nearly every professional team roper would probably say Trevor as far as mental game. He's the best. Because we just did a story about gravel in your gut, because he was talking about kids and how about 0.01% has enough gravel in their gut to make it. And 99.9% of parents come to him saying this kid won't listen. And he said, can't, if you're not listening to your parents, you're not going to listen to anybody. But he's something. Trevor's something. I don't know. Well, ladies, this podcast, it's funny, this podcast is brought to you by Resistol today. And their slogan is, "We live it every day." And I would say that that's probably pretty true for Donene. That's kind of what Heart of the Champion is about, is living it every day. Is your book available on audiobook, Donene?
No, it's not. It's not on Audible yet.
Audible yet.
Haven't recorded it yet, but I can see it's going to happen.
I hope so. These team ropers, they like to listen to things. They're much more audible than they are. That's why we read stories sometimes on this podcast, because they like story time. You should record it. I'm so excited for you to do that.
Okay. It sounds like a plan. Yeah, I love it.
I have to tell you too, before we go, I just got your book back because literally the week Lari Dee sent it to me to read, my best friend was diagnosed with cancer, and she's a breakaway roper, and I gave it straight to her before I read it. I think it was a day after it came in, she got her cancer diagnosis. So I brought it to her, and she kept it by her bed through all of her chemo. And so thank you, because she just brought it back to me, and she's better. Sorry, I did not think I would cry. But she is better, and she has taken it to heart. And she, like I said, she kept it by her bed the whole time.
Oh, I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Wow. And it is like, it is being persistent, and staying in the fight, the Navy SEALs, they have an acronym, it's NDCQ, not dead, can't quit. Man, if you're taking a breath, then you're still getting after it. You still have hope, you still have faith, and you stay in the fight.
Well, I am so grateful for you, and I'm so grateful for your book, and I am so grateful you both decided to join me today. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again to Resistol for bringing us this episode of The Score. Thank you to Lari Dee and Donene for their time today, and thank you to Resistol. We live it every day is their motto, and that couldn't be any closer to the truth. Thank you all so much. Check it out, resistol.com.